I just love the kind of sound of having social interaction with patients, but also making a massive difference in their lives. And it was a perfect blend of kind of science and technology and that patient-facing interaction. I'm quite a communicative person anyway, so I really kind of love the thought of having that kind of 9 to 5 job and having patient interaction and really building great rapport with patients, but then going home and having a relax. It's just a massively rewarding job, giving people the gift of hearing. As an audiologist in the private sector, I work for a multinational hearing aid manufacturer and company. And in terms of job role, I am an audiologist similar to the National Health, where I'm doing diagnostic testing, kind of assessing hearing, assessing patient needs and requirements, and then using the prescription or using the audiograms, choosing hearing aids and selecting them, as well as assistive listening devices for patients. But coming into kind of the private sector from the NHS, it was really quite a transition. Again, you're more a commercial environment, I'd say. But yes, it's still very much patient-facing, putting a patient or a person as an individual at the centre of care. The first and probably integral part of becoming a good audiologist is having that kind of care and empathy for people. You don't know what's going to go on and who's going to walk through your door, so it's really important to, again, have that empathy and care so you can provide bespoke and individualistic approach to their care. Secondly, I'd probably say having really good communication skills, and I think that's probably built up during university and clinical placement. In terms of communication, building that rapport with the patient, finding communal ground is so important. Having kind of being able to speak to different people from different paths and different backgrounds. You don't know who's going to walk through your door and what their story is and why they've come to you today, but the main thing is that you can communicate with them effectively, with respect, and also just treat them as a friend sometimes. So sometimes I just treat patients as friends rather than a patient, and really hammering down on an individualistic kind of approach. So building great rapport is important, also having great communication, but also having that empathy and care towards the patients. Sometimes it can be so emotional. I am quite an emotive person anyway, but sometimes it is really tear-jerking. I had one patient just before Christmas. We had just set her up with some hearing aids, and she said to me, "You've given me the gift of hearing," and that really did bring back kind of the main reason why I've chosen the degree. So it is absolutely amazing sometimes. There are kind of, sometimes you can get difficult patients, you can get difficult appointments, but when you do kind of hear that you've made a difference to someone's life, and sometimes when you put the hearing aids in, it's such a light bulb moment and you think, yes, this is what I've been trained to do, and this is the reason that I do what I do. First time I made an impact was actually whilst I was at university. It was my final year of university, so it was my first kind of proper appointments where I was running kind of appointments myself in my own clinic, and it was a patient that didn't have many years to live. He had just been given kind of a diagnosis that was really quite severe to him and his family. Now, we were struggling with a lot of things in terms of quality of life, with television watching, speaking to grandchildren, and he had just had a great grandchild, I think, and it was a girl. She was a girl, and he couldn't really hear her cries or kind of her murmurs at all. And when we put the hearing aids in, he came back and he just said that, "You've made such a difference to my life, or the years that I have left, and I can hear my grandchildren, my great grandchild, and I've not heard like this, the birds and everything else, and it's really just really made a difference." And it was so profound when he did say it, and that was one of the reasons why I chose the degree. In terms of counselling, I feel like it is, a really major part of our job role, just because we're not just practitioners, we're not just audiologists, we're also kind of mechanics, engineers, counsellors, you name it. Again, counselling, it all depends on what stage a person is or patient is in their journey of accepting hearing loss. Hearing loss comes in different kind of phases, and the patient is at a different phase depending on their psychological ability, but also how ready they are to accept a hearing loss and hearing aids. Sometimes you have patients, I'll give you an example. Back when I was working in the National Health, I had a patient and he was only 21 years old, a macho male, and he came in and he needed hearing aids. Now, it was so difficult to convince him that, giving him the pros and cons of kind of hearing aid use and really finding out why he didn't want to wear them or use them. In terms of counselling him, getting him to kind of understand the benefits of hearing aids, and kind of he'll hear better at university, social interactions when he's out on nights out, it will help him. So it was really difficult, and you could appreciate he was so young, and he had his life ahead of him, and he really did care about his appearance. So sometimes you do kind of need to bring an approach that's quite soft, and also have that kind of counselling aspect where you understand that some patients are in denial, but bringing them to accept their hearing loss but also utilise hearing aids, it takes some counselling, definitely. I think that right now I love kind of fitting appointments, and it's similar to when I was a student. I used to love the start of something new, the excitement towards using hearing aids. You'd have some that were really apprehensive coming through the door, but when you do put the hearing aids in, again, back to the light bulb moment that you get with kind of putting the hearing aids in sometimes and hitting prescription level, and the patient's face lighting up, and also sometimes doing those subjective tests. So I have kind of patients, family members saying 1 2 1 2, what did you have for breakfast? And then being able to hear it just brings such a smile on my face, but also their faces and their family members' faces. So that's probably where you can see the real difference being made. Go for it. I love my job, but also really investigate it. You've got so many kind of placements out there, online forums. You've got so much a wealth of information online. You've got videos that you can watch to widen perspective and give real insight into what audiology is. It is a little bit of an underdog. Not many people know it's such a niche of a market, and not many people talk about hearing. So it's one of those that if you are interested in audiology, definitely investigate. If you are kind of communicative, if you want to make a difference in people's lives, and if you do kind of have that empathy and have that end goal in improving quality of life, then definitely it's something that needs investigating, and it's a real budding profession. What's brilliant about audiology is there's not many kind of universities that do audiology. As I said, it's quite a niche. So in terms of securing a job, there's usually quite a few jobs out there available for each graduate. In terms of university, so in our final year, we were given kind of a placement year with a particular trust, NHS trust. So usually you do go on to receive a job offer from that NHS trust, which I did. And that really kind of, again, eases the process of becoming an audiologist and an autonomous practitioner, where you've got kind of the backing of people that you know and that you've worked with in the past, and you've got supervisors there that university has facilitated. So it was very easy finding a job, if I'm honest. A Leeds audiologist, I think that you've got 3 or 4 kind of main lecturers or figures. I would say a little bit like parents. They do help you through the transition into finding your feet as an audiologist. You've got kind of someone that you can speak to about clinical skills, but also someone that you can just have a moan about if you've had a bad day in terms of with placement. You've got kind of a peer or a mentor, and also you've got a backing of the alumni in terms of we'd all be very open in terms of chatting online with our WhatsApp groups and things like that. You do have a real kind of support system there, one that you probably won't get at other universities. And when I speak to, again, other clinicians, they didn't have that kind of family feel to their degree, whereas ours was very much intimate, but also a very safe space to discuss placement, discuss issues with work, and also just to have friendly faces, knowing that you're not the only one combating the world at that point.